Nice day. So I'm going to talk today about, in terms of the new psychology, fairness revolution, I'm going to talk about my theory of most. Okay, and because the belief is that most of us are good people. Most of us want good roads, decent schools, fair practices, businesses that collaborate and, are decent with how they deal with customers and all this. And I'm getting to the theory of most because it's I'm also talking to governmental agencies because it's a shift in psychology. Before, in the old psychology, government looks at like all people to be suspicious, right? Is the IRS used to do this, police, like everybody could be a criminal, which is theoretically true. Everybody could be a criminal. And the point being, most of us are not. Most of us at least don't have that intention. Most of us, even petty criminals probably, but most of us have an intention to do well, to be involved in the world, to do what we can, and to help the world. And so my work in terms of new psychology also, it advocates to government, be legal, political, but to start to see the world of most, that most are good, not the hyper-scrutinizing, authoritative type of view that we're in charge, we're going to look down on you. Because most, let's say, when a crime of some kind occurs, an awful crime, what do the police do often enough? Reach out to the public to get most of us on the same side, because most of us do not want calamity. Most of us do not want extreme violence. Most of us do not want a better community. And where this applies, it's not enough just to say, well, I'm in the most group, I'm good. Unfortunately, the psychology of our times is challenging enough that those who are good have to do the extra work. Like, I always think of 3 steps. There's nice, which you don't want to be. So, being nice occasionally is okay, but people take advantage. Kind is good, you're extending, but even better is to be good, right? Beyond kind, because good doesn't require you to give anything to anybody. You do want to give, but but good means you're just you're working with integrity. You're doing what's right because it's the right thing to do, not even in essence what you're going to immediately get in return. And so our coaching and my work, Gentle Genius, Fairness Revolution, is to help people develop this inner strength, this sense of not just being part of the most, but taking your goodness and forging it into purpose, because that's what you have to do. Because the psychology these days, as it is from governmental agencies, as it is online, as it is, and I'll get into with extreme groups, it's so challenging that good people have to have their purpose. They have to know where they're going. It's not a straight line, but at least have that theme of who you are and where you're going. And that's the beauty of our work. We help you, we find your goodness, we help you forge it into purpose, and then communicate it appropriately and assertively, because you can't be aggressive, as I say, and you can't be passive. You have to learn that magic of the third way, which is the assertive path. It's a beauty, my magic of the third way. And I'm going to go on just talk a little bit about the extremes, because we do see our country, America, and other places, we see it fractured by, and really what's happening, you call it narcissism to some degree, even psychopathy, but the extremes exert such pressure that those with sensible thoughts, those who would be part of the good, feel a need to take one side or another. And the extremes to my end are probably like 10% on one side, 10% on the other, who aren't interested, and here's a key point, they aren't interested in a good community. They are insatiable, okay? Those on the extremes, what people have to understand, on the left, the right, politically, legally, wherever they be, those on the extremes are essentially insatiable. And by that I mean they don't want a resolution, okay? They want continual agitation, to maybe some weird notion of a world where they are in charge and everybody has to kind of cater to them. But psychologically, they're not in a good place. So, and that's what we have to be conscious of today in the extremes. So our systems are that way. They can look down on people legally. Our cherished American legal system is not where it could be, and in my view, where it needs to be. It's why I've done a lot of work about emotional abuse and really elevating something called the tort for the intentional infliction of emotional distress. There's the mail. I love the mail. But, because a lot of violations these days aren't just physical. They occur in your head. They're psychological. They're emotional distress. There are a lot of ways to harm a person that aren't physical these days. Condemning, online outing, whatever it be. Ostracizing. All these tools that make emotional distress. And I've had a 20-year journey legally now with this tort for the intentional infliction of emotional distress and elevating it. Not only pushing for one result, doing that, and also elevating the understanding of emotional distress. And why I get into that, because we do have these extreme narcissistic, psychopathic, even personality types that are putting such pressure on society that they jar the sense of what most of us would want. 5 or 10% on either extreme, gets people scrambling and going every which way, which is why we, those of the most, have to develop this sense of forged purpose. You can take a look at our websites, this psychology, I call the new psychology, the magic of the third way, all the things I do. If you can like and subscribe, get involved. This is the psychology you need, because as I said in my previous video, what it helps people do, good people, to stand assertively and appropriately for themselves. And I said that's the #1 skill you got to do. So I'll put a link to that at the end, or if I figure out how to do a link in the description. But we need good people to stand appropriately and assertively, so that most of us, we can shift that paradigm. Authorities don't push down on us, and we who want the good things in the middle, the common sense, the decency, stand up and advocate appropriately for those elements. Thanks. See, the difference with me and a lot of spiritual coaches, others, is I've actually done it. Through 30 years, I say, cold to diamond process. Walk the walk, and walking all skills. 30 years later, spreading the word, the fairness revolution, gentle genius coaching, whatever it be. But you need to know someone who's done it themselves. It's from the inside out. And key is I understand the process of change. Thanks.